Alright, hello fun and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the Chinese pistol set mod, which is being made by the Fallout London team. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is not one, but two different Chinese pistols that will be featured in the upcoming Fallout London mod. Boy, I can't wait for that thing. And to make these guns' inclusion in Fallout 4 even better, we have, of course, previously seen these in the franchise with the Chinese pistol back in Fallout 3, and it is also based off of a real-world historic weapon, which I always love, that of course being the Mauser pistol. All good things indeed. So let's jump on over here and have a look at what we do get with, beginning with the Mark I Chinese pistol, which in its most basic and standard forms will do 18 damage with a 10mm round, with a firing rate of 46, a range of 83, accuracy of 64 for a pretty low weight of 3. Not too bad there. We then do have the Mark II Chinese pistol, which has most of its stats the same, but will do 23 damage with the 10mm round, firing rate of 46, a range now of 191, accuracy is 64, and a bit heavier at 3.5, but overall though still not too bad. Now the big difference between the Mark II and the Mark I here is that the Mark I is the more traditional Mauser sort of design with the top-loaded stripper clip, and the Mark II actually has a removable box magazine down here at the bottom. Now also, the Mark II does have a few more modifications to it, and with it, well, you can turn this thing into actually a pretty impressive little submachine gun for the game, which is wonderful. Sadly, not so much with the Mark I. Still a fun gun to play around with, but with the slightly higher damage, much higher range, and more mods, the Mark II is definitely where it's at. This is a pretty nifty little weapon. I do very much like it. Though that being said, with the more mods on the Mark II, there still aren't a huge list of modifications, and nothing too strange or wacky. They're all pretty grounded, but like I said, you can turn this thing into a pretty interesting little submachine gun, which is cool. So, yes, not gonna be the greatest weapon ever, but with mods and additional perks, I'd say a pretty good mid-game gun overall with this. Not too shabby at all. Now, as for how you do get these lovely things, well, you'll start to see them on legendary enemies and their loot table, starting at level 12. Now, there is one of these in the world that you can find over the Yangtze submarine. Just down there over by the reactor room, you'll have one of these pistols sitting on a console. And what's great about that is once you do pick up it, which is this gun right here, the Mark I, you'll now be able to build the Mark I and the Mark II at any chemistry station in the world. And you'll have the new Chinese pistol category here, which sadly doesn't actually show them as Mark I or Mark II in here, which is a little strange, but you can tell by the damage. The 18 is the Mark I, and the 23 there is the Mark II. But either way you go, they're going to take the same amount of materials of just 2 adhesive, 2 screws, 2 springs, 3 steel, and 1 wood, which I think is a little bit weird. I think at least the Mark II should have a slightly more in there, considering the, but yeah, oh well, minor thing. But yes, then you can make as many of these as you desire, which is always nice. You got 3 ways to get your hands on one of these lovely things. Now, let us take a look at the different modifications we do have available to these guns, starting with the Mark I. Most of these are going to be identical, but there are a few extra things, like I said, with the Mark II. But starting with the Mark I, we've got just a nice little list of pretty typical receivers here, where we can get to a total damage of 31, of course without any additional perks, which gives you a pretty good firing rate here, and of course the better damage. Not too bad. Now in the barrels, we've got a Mark I, Mark II, and a Mark III barrel, getting pretty darn long there, and getting you some nice increase to your range. Now in the muzzle category, we've only got 2 things, either nothing or a suppressor. That's it. And then the stocks, we actually do have a Mark I stock here, so you can have a little bit more well, range and accuracy on this weapon and start to turn it into more of a rifle kind of a deal, Good times indeed. And finally, we've got the handguard, which is going to go up at the front of the pistol here, and are pretty cool. These are a bit more of Fallout-esque creations, because I don't think I've ever seen something like this IRL, though please do correct me if I'm wrong. I love the vertical foregrip one the most, because it kind of makes it look like a strange Mauser-esque Tommy gun, which is, pretty cool. But yes, we've got the Nothing, the Heat Shield, the Horizontal Handguard, the Mark II Handguard here, and the Mark III Vertical Grip. All very nice, very fun little bits here that I do enjoy, and change up the aesthetic pretty interestingly. Now, as for the Mark II pistol, we actually do have more receivers in here, because we go from Mark II receivers, like with the Mark I, just typical things in here, calibrated, hardened, etc. And then we even go into a Mark III receiver, which, you know, turns this thing into much more of a rifle, which, pretty darn cool. And with the advanced receiver here, you can pop this thing up to 42 without any additional perks, but, yeah, you are going to need some science and gun nut for that. Now, the barrels, we've got the same deals here, the Mark I through Mark III. We do now have a magazine category, though, because we can go with that detachable box magazine from the standard 10 all the way up to 40 rounds. Muzzle, same deal, either nothing or a suppressor. The stocks, we can change it up a bit, though, I mean, why would you when you have the Mark III ones over here? And then the handguards, again, same things as we had with the Mark I pistol there. Very fun little additions. And finally, this one also gives you the opportunity to change it if you desire from semi-automatic to fully automatic. You do you, whichever one you like there. But frankly, full auto. SMG time. Good times indeed there. So let me go grab my modified versions, then we'll take some shots with these at our range and then test it out against a Deathclaw. Probably not the best of tests considering the lower damage, but, well, it'll work. So this is the Mark I. There we go. Not too bad. Very good on the animation. The stripper clip in there does go quite well. We've got a good sound to this thing as well. Overall, very nicely done. I do very much enjoy it. Not really any issues to speak of. Very controllable gun. Not a whole lot of kick on this thing, so pretty easy to keep it on target. So that is always good to have, especially if you're a horrible shot like me. Always good to have that lower recoil. Now, as for the Mark II here, pretty much identical in its firing, but of course, the animation for reload is different since we do have that detachable box magazine at the bottom rather than the stripper clip, and all goes quite nicely, very smoothly, and like with the Mark I, very easy to control. Now then, moving into the modified versions, I've got this 10mm full auto Tommy gun, effectively, of a Chinese rifle. Well, formerly Chinese pistol. Dealing 37 damage, which was the highest I could get for full auto. Semi-auto, of course, would be a little bit higher, without any additional perks. And yeah, it just kind of looks like a weird mutant Tommy gun, and I really, really love this thing. So we'll fire this one first there. And, oh, wait, no, oh, there we go. There it is. Fire. Beautiful. Now, with the full auto on this thing, it does actually get a lot more difficult to control. As you can see, just we're getting a lot more kick with just all those rounds shooting out. Going through the entire magazine, we were basically staring straight up at the sky. But each individual shot isn't too bad, so it's not too awful to control, but it is still gonna, you know, bop you around all over the place a bit. But overall, not too shabby. Now then, of course, we've got the Mark I that I've turned into, it says submachine gun, but I mean, it's still semi-auto. With a nice silencer on the front of this thing, and doing 31 damage there. So let's fire. And even though it is a semi-auto, the fire rate on this thing is pretty good. So pretty much as quickly as you can click, it's gonna shoot. So not too bad at all. Pretty typical sound for, of course, the suppressor, but, I mean, what do you expect? It is a suppressor. You will notice, though, the animation's gone wonky on this one. Despite this one being a Mark I that's meant to be stripper clip fed, it appears to be thinking it's the Mark II. I don't know why that's happened, but it has. Actually, now that I think of it, I'm curious if it's maybe because I went with the handguard since it's technically labeled as a Mark II. I don't know, but it's weird. That is one issue I have encountered with this thing. It's the one bug I've really seen. Everything else has gone perfectly fine, but yeah, the Mark I modified up does seem to screw its animation a little bit. But oh well, that's not too bad. That's a minor issue in my opinion, especially considering I prefer the Mark II more. So, yeah, we're good there. So, you know, let's pop in a Deathclaw and see how many shots it takes us to take him down. Oh boy, these are kind of lower damage weapons, but not too bad. Oh boy, it's gonna take a bit. Now, besides the one bug, I will say that one major complaint I have with this is the lack of any noticeable sights. Well, not even noticeable, any sights whatsoever. We're always going to be stuck with iron sights, which is a little bit unfortunate. But considering the older nature of the gun, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But still, you guys know me, I like sight options, so, yeah, that would be nice if it would get added in. And kind of strange that's not. Oh yeah, it's gonna take us a while to take down this Deathclaw. The automatic's definitely the way to go, plus it's, a little bit more powerful than the semi-auto Mark I. There we go. Only by a couple of points, but that couple of points is doing a good job. All right. Once we actually get all the shots on target and not missing constantly, not too bad at all. Still going to take a few magazines to finish him off, though. Ooh, we did a lot better when he was charging straight at us. But okay, bring it, fool. Come on, Deathclaw. This should be the end of you, hopefully. Oh, I missed all of those shots. Well, there we go. He's dead. Lovely. So yeah, a fair few magazines to take out a Deathclaw, but like I said earlier, it is, I'd say, a very good mid-game gun. You're probably not going to be using this thing too far into the game after that, but with perks, of course, the damage will be a bit better for you. And all in all, it's just a fun gun to play with. I always do love seeing more historic guns, as well as guns we've seen previously in the franchise, and any little hint of what we're going to get from Fallout London always makes me happy. God, I can't wait for that. I think we've got, what, 2 more months or something like that till it releases? I don't know, but fun times. But yeah, so if you'd like to take a look at this mod for yourself, which I'd certainly recommend you go and do, you can have a look at the link in the description of the video as per usual. But that, my friends, is going to be it for this one today. Hopefully you have enjoyed and you do come back for whatever mod we do look at next. But until that time, thank you for watching, and as always, rather. Oh, wonderful, screwing up right at the very end. As always, have a good one.